So this is what we're trying to work for today. So those guys that haven't done ChatGPT, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create an account so that you can mess around with it. The second thing is explore professional development goals, because that's one of the very first things I did with it. Because I don't know how you all feel in the fall when we come back and everything's kind of chaotic and it's like, oh, by the way, you need to turn in your professional goals for this year. And I'm always like, I don't even remember where I put that stuff. I'm sure I'm probably the minority in that, but just having something to help me, like I told my first group today that like my number one goal every single year is communication with parents, because number one, they change every year, and I just want to be clear about where the kids are, good, bad, or other, when I communicate. So that that stays the same. How that looks changes a little bit every year. But 2 years ago was the first time I was like, I wonder if I could put that in ChatGPT. So essentially, I went and I decided what my one goal was, put that in. I said, create a professional development plan for an Ohio high school technology teacher. And then it went and spit stuff out, and I was like, okay, that one looks good. And like, I think I deleted half of what it spit out, because ultimately you still have to use your brain. I mean, it's pulling data, so it obviously knows what stuff is on Ohio State website for teacher group stuff. So that's what this is about today, is like, if you're freaked out about it, if you're still like, I don't know if I can even buy into that, I don't know what to do with my kids in my class on that. But even if you just use it for you, to like help you save some time, that's the number one thing you can do, is save yourself a whole lot of time. Okay? And then the last thing there is lesson plan examples. So I really actually have everybody in here, right? Because I've got elementary, and I've got middle, and I got high. So we got a little bit of everybody. I'll go through those. I'm supposed to be like looking over here on this screen because it's got my notes to make sure I talked about everything. So since I already know, I think I know everybody. Mike, you're still in middle school, right? Jack, high school. Dan, you're in high school right now. Middle, elementary, right? Look at that.
That's smart.
I have some synaptic connections that have not dissipated yet, so. All right, so ChatGPT, again, data-driven, artificial intelligence assistant. I think that's the key, is to remember it's helping you. In the first group, there were definitely people I could tell that were like, kids are just going to use this to cheat. We're never going to know how to write anymore. And it'll be that if you let it be that. They'll cheat with it if you let them cheat with it. But honestly, when we were in Columbus this year, the one speaker that had lots of research stuff said actually kids are trending to not use it as much, mainly because they were looking at it for a fix-all. Like, hey, I can put this in and then it'll spit out and I can just turn it in, and they learned pretty quick that you can't do that because teachers have ways of finding out if it's generated by AI. So they actually, like my kids still in high school, primarily are sophomores, and I've started using it with my video and web kids as kind of a launch, because they have to write scripts, create storyboards and timelines as part of their prep to do their actual videos. And like just last week, I had two guys that were they were doing how-to videos. And so the one, this is after 2 days being in class. So he's burned a whole 80 minutes and not really came up with. They had ideas, but never really got into writing their script, doing their storyboard. And so I was just like, okay, I want you to sit down. We're going to see if you can get into ChatGPT. And so they were able to. And it was blocked the next time. But anyway, got in, put his ideas in there. And I was like, okay, so tell it to go. And it went and it started like, I had told him, make sure you tell it you want a script about, and they will want to go to the gym to lift. And I said, so make sure you put in what you're doing. So they were going to do a bench press, and I think they were going to do squats that they were going to show. And so I said, make sure you tell it you want different camera angles, all that kind of stuff. And I spit all that stuff out, and they were like, wow, we're allowed to use this? And I'm like, that's your starting board, but now you got to go back and you got to make sure, is it saying what you want it to? Do you want to do all that stuff? Well, I can't do all that it's saying. I'm like, and that's the point, is it gets you going, and now you go in and make it your own kind of thing. And they're like, oh, okay. Which the crazy thing is, they came in Friday last week, and they're like, wait, we're not going to do it at the gym after all. It's going to be too hard. We're going to change it. And I was like, okay. But at least now they got an idea how to do that. Let's see. So those are other ideas of what you can use. There's a free and a premium version. I will tell you the free, the last time I looked, I think it said you get 30 interactions in an hour, I think. So that's like, type in what you want, it does something, you type it in again. I think in the couple of dozen times I've used it, because really even in 2.5 years, I wouldn't say I'm an expert by any means, but I've also gone from to, okay, I need this today, I need some help. And it helped me get the next thing I need to do. To include this presentation, by the way. Because like when we were in Columbus, Brian's like, will you teach the class? And I'm like, I definitely want to do ChatGPT because I have a healthy respect for it. How about that? Like I'm not just all in on everything on it, but I have a healthy respect for it. It's helped me a lot, and it doesn't solve all your problems, but it definitely is a great tool to use. And there's just lots of ways to use it. Even in like elementary, even if you have it pulled up and you're like getting brainstorming ideas from kids around the room, this goes for middle school, high school too, if you don't want to turn them loose, is you can get that kind of feedback, put it in, and they can at least see what it's doing in a good way. Then you can look at chunks of what was made and do that part where they're making their input all together. And then if you feel like, okay, let's go, I don't know. Because Brian, I think, I've got a link for it at the end that he shared to me. Boone, as he talked about Boone and all you guys. Okay. So that's like in-house AI that he's put up. So it's, I would say, probably a really good way to do, especially middle school. I don't know if he's got it set where elementary can do it or not. Is he doing that in high school? Jack, do you know?
He mentioned it today.
Okay.
But that's the first time we've heard about it.
Okay. So has anybody used Brisk? Know what it is? Okay. So what have you used it for, Dave?
Well, I wanted subplans made quickly, and I wanted it to be made for somebody that is not familiar with art stuff, just in case I got somebody that wasn't familiar with anything art. And it gave me like a lesson plan, but it wasn't like very good. Like art-wise, like yeah, you could keep the class engaged, I guess, the whole time, but like those aren't really the best steps to drawing a portrait, that sort of thing. And I asked it to make a script because it was too vague, because it say like they're supposed to, at this point, tell how to draw the hair. It's like, no, you need to give this person a script. Like, they don't know. And it did give a script. And it wasn't like what I would have made, but it was good enough. I could have used it for subplans. Yeah.
That's good. So going back to when I had it make this, it won't make, because when I put in my parameters, I was like, create a Google slideshow for a basic introductory class on ChatGPT. So the first thing it did was, I can't make a slideshow. And I was like, okay. And I said, can you make an outline of a slideshow? And it's like, yeah, I can do that. And started like putting like the little title things. It was like like slide number 1, slide number 2, and it had like a title, had bullet points, and then I went back and got rid of about half of it. So about half of this is mine, half of it came from ChatGPT. And that's just one thing. So that being able to do that, it didn't make me try to do everything from scratch. I could immediately say, oh, that's way over what I want this particular lesson to do, so I could like throw that slide stuff out. But then once I got it like I wanted it, then I was able to just copy and paste stuff into my Google Slide and go from there, which was like really, like probably that would have been a 2 to 3 hour thing for me if I had done it all from scratch, and I had it done in I think 45 minutes as opposed to like 2 or 3 hours. And that's really what it's about, is saving you time. It still takes your brain. Like, that's the biggest part. And it's like, yeah, but I'm telling it things I'm thinking. And it's like, well, you can look at it one way. That's true. Or you can look at it like, it's taking somebody else's, I'm never going to see it, but it's still happening. That's like if you just, like, I'm bad about, like, I can't see that happening, so it must not be happening. It's still happening, right? So it's here. It's going to be here. And a couple of us were talking before everybody got here that like every single generation had its thing. That it was like, we can't use that. They're going to be cars, telephones, laptops. I mean, when we started, some of the really old people in here, was there a laptop you guys sit with, Steve, when we were doing PD? Back in 94, 5, whatever?
Didn't even have a copy machine.
That's what it's like. We didn't have
What was the
those.
stupid thing called?
Minio
machine.
machine.
Yeah, you typed on this brown thing and then sprayed
I love
alcohol on it,
I
and then
love
ran
that stuff.
papers through there.
Did they have those, Mike? When
You got too much alcohol.
See, that must have been
right
right
thing, and you had to start all over.
Because, like, man, elementary, you're just like there's nothing like it.
And
Like,
they were warm.
you're just
Oh,
doing
yeah.
warm. Everybody's like,
It's hilarious.
The best part. Then they got rid of it.
learning had smell back in the day. Okay, so
Grades by hand.
this is the big. All you gotta do is put ChatGPT in your browser, and it should go. You should be able to see that where you can do a sign up. So I'm gonna show you what that screen should look like.
No, you don't have to. Substitute.
Oh, I don't want to get ahead of myself there. So ChatGPT.com. So I'm already logged in. Yours should either have login or sign up, which should take you to like the screen that has like Google, where you can click in with your Google credentials. So if you've already been in, you can look at that or get in there, and I'll just talk a little. So this is obviously mine. I actually do it. This is my personal Gmail account that I do it through. You could have it in both places. You can do that however you want. But what will happen is as you create stuff, you'll get a history over here on the side. So like if you scroll all the way down, there is my first one that I did. And I think I did that one at OETC. So I was trying to make up like an exercise for my Ozobots for my coding class. And I did one for computer components. There was just a lot of different things, and they were little things that were just kind of getting me interested. Like none of this was deep, because somebody was like, "What is high school fall horror?" And I'm like, I don't know. So I click back, and it was like doing script writing. So apparently, I did it for my video class then, and just put in some random thing. I don't know why. So I'm going to scroll up this way. So there's my drones. like it knew what my Finch robots were, it knew what my Tello drones were, and it like helped me make basic assignments for those when my kids were just coming in and they really didn't know what they were. And I was like, help them create, well, let's look at it. Because this is actually the context of what I said. So in there, it told them to record a video showcasing your drone performing the program, because this was before we had to put our phones in our lockers every day. Which honestly, this class still gets to use their phones because I don't have any other way for them to use the app to control them. But, so that's just a little one there. All right, so I do want to show you this one though. So this is where, and see how that's gigantic? So this is professional development goals, and I told it what grade level I wanted. I told it I was in technology, and I told them I was in the state of Ohio, because you definitely want those things in there so it knows specifically what your content is, what grade level you're doing, and that we're in Ohio. So it doesn't just go out and grab all kinds of stuff. And then it spit out what the duration was. So obviously I'm like, yeah, that'll work. And it goes and looks at the standards. So to me, if you don't do anything else and you want to save some time come August, I would highly suggest that you just dabble in that and put it in. Because again, tell it what your content is, what your grade level is, and that we're in Ohio, and then say professional development goals. You can narrow that down too, if you want to. But you don't have to. It's what?
I said I've used the same ones for 5 years and nobody said.
Well,
I never changed it.
like honestly, that before, yeah, like before I realized like nobody looks at this thing.
Nobody cares.
But it's like that's why I keep my my goal about connecting with parents with that conversation, because I actually believe that's, regardless whether anybody sees it or not, that's a piece I want for me. It would definitely be nice that you would get feedback on stuff. All right, let's go back in here. I don't feel so bad because I actually was down Brian's last one and he had to run back to the desk, run back to up front, and then he's back. And I was like, okay, I'm all right. Okay, so the next three things are just examples. The first two are things that, these are two slides that ChatGPT just pulled up, and I didn't change at all because I'm like, oh, that actually makes sense. So for elementary school, you could do a creative writing because everybody's getting. Did everybody do their reading assignment for the year for the state yet? You know what I'm talking about? The little thing that you have to do by then.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Science reading.
All right, so call out your name whether you've done it or you have not. Have not.
Oh, we're done. We're done.
Oh, look at you, overachievers.
Yeah, we had to do 20 hours.
We didn't have to.
22 hours, specials. Yeah,
That's science
Yeah.
of reading.
science of reading.
Danielle, did you have?
Yeah, they're elementary.
Yeah.
We're elementary.
No. I did not
Elementary get to
spend
use
20
that are
hours.
professional development days.
Did you? Really?
We
I
spent-
mean, it says 22 hours.
Yeah,
but
but
I
we had
didn't
to
really
spend-
do nothing.
We had to go through that many lessons, though.
Huh?
We had to go through that many lessons. It
Yeah.
wasn't just a few
Oh, it
lessons.
was a long time, but I didn't spend 22 hours.
No, we spent 22 hours.
I
Well,
didn't
it's
do
close.
22
Close to like
hours.
8, I think.
Towards the end, we got,
I know mine's a lot less than Cindy has to, but she's also in reading and writing.
Oh, that's right. You did it with a group instead of by
We
yourself.
started it,
we started it that way. We did,
but I was,
I did it on their website. It didn't take 22 hours.
well, we did it on the website.
you had 22 hours too?
Yeah, fifth grade had 22 hours too.
Glad I didn't have to do
spend
that.
22 hours.
Anyway, I found it very
No more
useful.
than half.
Very informative.
No, wait.
I really think about how I assign things now.
Well, that is, Like, and honestly, it's good in a way because yeah, they should be learning about that in that class, like language arts. But they don't make the thing that drives me nuts is when they come to my room and then they're like, "Well, I don't want to write. I hate to write." And I'm like, this is an English class. And I'm like, "Yeah, you'll learn that, so you can come to my class and actually apply it in a real game." Yeah, that drives me
2
wild.
hours just trying to figure out where it was for a stupid lesson. Honestly.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it was great.
Okay, I am skipping ahead to this example lesson because this is one I created, this is one that I used, and this is what I was talking about earlier about how I had showed some of my students how you can use it and actually use it in a proper way that will help you and not just help you cheat. Because they were like dumbfounded by it, number one, and then they're like, are we allowed to use this? And I was like, this is how you use it. You use it to help yourself, not just like say, it's good, boom. Because that would be like trying to get your professional development goals done, having to do it, copying everything, and throwing it in. Because actually I did it for my IP dip this last year when I got my license again. And when I did it in there, like it had my 2 big goals in it, like went, and it had like this massive amount of stuff. And like I went through and changed some stuff, and I'm like, no, I don't want that. No, I don't want that. And I turned it in, and the gal in my building's like, are you sure you want this much detail on it? And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, because if you have all that, they're going to want evidence of all that. And I'm like, so what are you saying? She's like, you see that? Yeah. See that? Yeah. That's all you should have on there. And I was like, okay. So, so hello, it still took human conversation to get it done, but it helped me get the other parts of it done based on what I told it. So the how-to video, that worked for that. I have not used it to do the summarize and get key theme things, even though I think that would be a great thing for them to do. And I'm definitely, before the end of the year, going to have them do number 3, because eventually they take their videos and they're going to upload them into YouTube. And so making sure that, and it doesn't say it there, but like making sure of things like copyright, like music, at least, because they have to put music in their videos too. So we've had a couple of conversations about, hey, just so you know, if you put it in YouTube now, YouTube uses AI and it's like, oh, you just put Van Halen in your background, you can't do that. That's copyright. Kick it out. So, that's a good thing when it comes to artists, especially, getting credit or getting money for something they created. Have any of you seen the music stuff that you can do? Like songs that you can create? Bull did one, sent it to me this week, so I was like, well, I could do that. And so I made one. He did one for his hardware class, which was hilarious. And so I made one for my coding class, because we're getting ready to start our big robot project, and they always have a hard time getting the robot to start in the same place. So my last semester class was like, they really need to make a jig before you ever start. And I'm like, okay. So the last week and a half, they've been designing drawings, and I said, let's start with Legos. So they had to measure Legos, decide how long, measure the robot, decide, what the dimensions were going to be. And then today they were supposed to be testing those if they got them built. So we'll see how that went with me not there. But anyway, this, I'm hoping, will be able to help them when we get to the design and build of the actual, because what they do is they take this robot we've got, they block code it they have to change elevation, so they got to go to the floor, and there's like 6 different stations around the room that they get to pick, and then they have to build something that'll get the robot from the floor up there and then back. And then if it works, then it has to replicate, which is where that jig comes in, so that it'll do the exact same thing every time. The difficult part is they have to tear that down every time they leave. and then come back and put it back together again and make it work again, which drives them crazy because it's like not just like did that. Yay! It's like, you know, you have to be able to replicate it, and that drives them nuts. So when I was at the conference, one of my girls had sent me a message, and she's like, Mr. Wesson, I don't know what to do for my interview script. And so I'm like sitting there and I'm like, dude, this is a high kid that was struggling with this. I'm like, so what's your idea? And she said, well, I know I want to do it like I'm a pharmaceutical salesman. And I'm like, okay, that's very specific. So I threw in ChatGPT. I'm like, write me a script for a job interview where I'm interviewing for a pharmaceutical salesman that's just coming out of college. And I hadn't touched any of that. It just spit this whole big thing. And I said, make sure you change camera angles, show where lighting's going to be, all that kind of stuff. So if you look, so there's the start of it. It has the interviewer, candidate, lighting setup, props that you would need. And then after that part, I was like, okay, now I want you to create a storyboard, which I don't know about you, but when I hear the word storyboard, I'm thinking pictures, right? So if you look down there, there's storyboard, no pictures. So I was like, ah, crap, that's not really what I want. So I went in and I said, I want to see it in pictures. Because I keep reading that it doesn't do pictures, but it does. Because I told it, I want to see a drawing, and I'm not exaggerating, less than 10 seconds, that popped up. So I've tried other stuff to get a visual, and I haven't and it doesn't always necessarily, so I don't know what it was about that day, but that thing came up, so it's like showing the different. Now, the one thing was goofy is this, I don't have any idea what it's saying down there, because this is just one picture, but it does have like each of the scenes representative, shows where the camera's going to be, zoom in, all that kind of stuff, which is what I want them to show me before they go and actually record. So I sent all that to her. I'm like, does this help? And she was like, yeah, I think and she didn't even do it on that. She completely changed it because she's in ag, and she's like got her own business she started in the last couple of months. And so she actually did her video on that. But I'm like, that blew my mind when that popped up. Because I was just like, okay. So I'm hoping it's getting better at that kind of stuff. Maybe it is. I haven't read the right article that talks about that. That's definitely on my radar, though, of things to be looking for. So if you look, ChatGPT for that's the stuff that I put in so I could get my slideshow. So see how I have slide, and so it broke it all down. So I think my changes are in there for it. That was actually pretty fun to do that. Like, I was like, this is so fun. All right, so even though I don't like the term best practices, I do like thinking about, hey, what are some ways that you can use it in your room and make it effective for your kids, help them feel like they can use it without being like, am I going to fail if I use this kind of thing? Because my biggest thing about this is we can block them from it all day long, and then as soon as they get that diploma, when they walk across the stage, it's like, hey, good luck with AI. I know we didn't talk much about it, because that's what we're doing. We're sending them out there without experiences, without any kind of background at all, and it really needs to start with you guys in elementary. Appropriate ways, obviously, and work its way through. Just so they're hearing, there are ways to use it that are good. It's like anything else we have. Your cell phone, their cell phone that they pack around with them already, they can use it for good stuff or bad stuff. How much are we teaching to use the good stuff? Because they'll find the bad stuff following around. Right? Yeah. So they need to, one, see us using it in the right way. It always falls back on us. It's our job to expose them to things in the right kind of arena that will help them grow and be knowledgeable in good ways so they can help themselves learn. And it all comes down to our brain initiating stuff and then them using their brain to figure out what can I use that really sounds like me versus, hey, here's something copied and pasted. And so Brisk, which I had not used hardly at all. Did I say it right, Brisk? Okay. I said Brian's, and there were a lot of things on there that it'll do, like change grade level reading, which I think is phenomenal because when you got IEP kids coming in, and all my stuff is in, we don't have Moodle, but we have Google Classroom, so when I put my assignment in there, like my IEP kids, a lot of times it's way over their head. And like, I didn't know Brisk would do that, and now I do, and that's my number one note from today that I got is I need to start using that for those guys because I can in Google Classroom. One of the good things you can do is you can like assign groups of kids like with IEPs and have different stuff go there. I've never done it before, but now I have no excuse not to. So, yeah. Anybody else have anything going on? There's Brian's, I believe that takes you to Boone if you haven't been there before, which is the in-house AI thing that he's got set up. It's kind of, it sounds like a pirate, at least it did the last time I listened to it. And when I say listen to, I mean read stuff that I put in. It sounded like a pirate. I can't remember what he said it was supposed to be, but I'm like, he's like, I think it mostly sounds like a pirate though.
Can you use it and demonstrate it?
We'll see. Let's see what he does.
Sign in. What?
Oh shoot, well I'm gonna have to have my,
Yeah, mine did that too.
I got psych.
Dan, do you have it?
Continue with email.
Is it Blazers?
It's, let me go back.
Blazer.
There it is.
Blazer AI.
BlazerAI.nationaltrail.us. Well, Danielle, to answer your question, no, because he made me an NT account just so I could use that and not. Well, let me try. Maybe I do.
Oh, wait a
I'm gonna give it one more try because I think it's that. We'll
minute.
see.
And it's not right. I
At
signed in.
nationaltrail.us probably.
Thanks, mister. I'm in the middle of counting numbers and you threw me off and made me go way back.
So you don't have to. Oh, just, yeah, no.
Hey, I'm in.
It's just .us, right?
Yeah. You're up.
We'll see if that works.
I got it.
I just, your username, your,
Tell me if I'm back.
So it doesn't need the @National Trail, Dan?
Did you use the at national trail? It's incorrect.
right, so it's, is your email password, your access password the same?
I don't know, we gotta change.
I asked it who Jeff Lawson was.
Which one is it? You gotta change it.
I said, an inquiring mind. I
I
might.
gotta change one
Well,
every year,
you're
so I keep
Jeff Lawson was
changing
the
it.
fellow who
No wonder you still don't have an account
Just
in
like-
here.
That's all I asked.
But you're
Here it is.
directional, not revealing secrets of the wild frontier.
Which one?
So it has stuff, but I don't know thinking about you.
I put it in 2 weeks ago in ChatGPT. I said, who is Brian Poole? And it came back and it's like, Brian Poole was the United States Air Force pilot. And then it said he piloted airplanes like the F-16, and which he never did. But he was in the Air Force and he was a pilot. So it did have part of it right. So see, that's,
Yeah, but he probably put that in.
I was gonna say, Brian probably put
I need to program it so it says Brian Poole was a takeoff and lander of aircraft. He needed a navigator to get him where he needed to go. And I'm envious of that.
He parked her.
Did everybody else get in there that wanted to get into to the Big Boon?
Yes.
So, and I know that was really like skimming across on the basic stuff, but so again, how many people have not used ChatGPT before this? Okay. So, if you can walk out of here and at least feel like you want to at least try to use it for something, then I'll feel like,
Oh, yeah, I actually I'm taking over the last month. So I was throwing stuff in there, and I was like, oh, I like that. Then I was like, I'd like more on this. And then let it run through again. I was like, I like that. And I was like, could you actually make a question for that? I like that.
I think the biggest thing going in is understand it does have some limitations as far as how many things you can ask it, but that all comes with thinking ahead of what you want to work on. I mean, you can definitely go into a cold and just start spitting information that you want to do and then read it and then change what it is you want. And I think it's 30 of those in an hour. It's either an hour or 3 hours. I'm trying to remember now, but there is a paid version, and basically you get about 2/3 as many. So I want to say you get 50, but it's like, it'll still throttle you back, and that's so that because their server can get bombed. And the time of day you use it is one thing I've personally seen, because you get to the middle of the day, and then it'll start slowing down how fast it does it. But if you do it like early in the morning or late in the evening, like it's really snappy how fast it'll like propagate stuff for you. But you know, less people are on. It's kind of like electricity. The good thing is you got great support here with Brian. So like, even if there's something that I didn't answer, I guarantee you he could see if you can get it from ChatGPT. But again, do you know that it's 100% accurate? I mean, seriously, do you know that it's 100% accurate? Right. I had friends that were like back last summer, they were like, I asked it who was going to win the election, and it told me there wasn't even going to be an election. And I'm like, the fact that even came out of your mouth and you did that worries me. I mean, seriously, it worried me. I'm like, because we're talking about full-grown adults. We're not talking about 20 and 30-year-olds. We're talking about 50, 60, 70-year-olds. And I'm like, man, that is scary. Okay. You'll never get those 44 minutes back. Sorry about that. Hope it helped a little.
I'll show you how to take your Google Slides and put them in Canva and make them more.
Just so you know, I changed the background on the first 3. I knew somebody would be like, that's all the plain, Watson.
If you put it in articulate storyline, it'd blow you away. But it ain't free.
All I remember is deep in my brain is one of the first years we went to Columbus for one of those. And this lady got up and she was very knowledgeable about what she was talking about. And every one of her slides